Welcome to the Underground.
Turn me up, bitch!
My Little Underground with Peter A.
Level 43 of My Little Underground. I'm Peter A. Don't forget to subscribe anywhere you get podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. Don't care where you listen as long as you're listening. You can follow me as well. All social media, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. It's Peter_A. Follow the show as well at MLU Pod, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Today we're going to kick off the brand new year and the new decade, 2020 anticipated. A few albums that I'm looking forward to that are coming out this year. And I'm literally telling you albums that are going to come out that have a release date or that have been announced. I see a lot of lists online about albums that people wish to come out this year, but I'm trying to be realistic. I'm going to tell you guys the albums that I know are coming out. Most of them have release dates. Some of them do not, but I know they're coming out. All right? We're going to start off with Chicago's own Ratboys. They got a new album, Printer's Devil, out February 28th. It's their third album. And the lead single, Alien with a Sleep Mask On. Alien with a Sleep Mask On. It's one of the most energetic songs they've ever put out. I'm addicted to this song. I've been listening to it end over end since it came out. And usually their songs have a little tender twang to it. And this tune is very twangy as well. But it's very explosive. It's definitely in your face. But it's not obnoxious. You know, it doesn't have this overly macho approach to it. It's very gorgeous, tender, and it rocks your socks off. And it's very catchy and infectious. You'll listen to it again and again if you're like me. Looking forward to this album greatly. I got to see them live a couple of years ago. They were awesome. And I thought their last album, GN, was very gorgeous, very subtle. It wasn't so explosive, but I expect that from Ratboys. But this album, I expect to rock harder than their previous work. Looking forward to that. Ratboys. Going to Canada, Holy Fuck. Their new album, Deleter. This is their fifth album. That's coming out January 17th. And you know what? There's a lot of albums that are coming out on January 17th that we're going to talk about today. And you know what? Holy Fuck. I've been hearing about this group, but I never really dove into them. So I had no idea what to expect. Or I have no idea what to expect. And the teaser tracks on this are excellent. Lux featuring Alexis Taylor of Hot Chip. It has a very melancholy approach to it, at least is my perspective. You know, the brooding, deep synths that kind of sneak in. They're buried in the background. They just kind of come alive towards the end. And Alexis's vocals are just very fuzzed out, and they kind of come in and out. They kind of tease you a little bit. I think it's remarkable production. These are kind of the tunes that you would hear at a club, but a different kind of club. It's not of this world. Definitely not of planet Earth. And the other teaser track is kind of the opposite in a way of this, of these tunes, I guess. Free Gloss, featuring Nicholas Albrecht of Pond. Wow. Very interesting collaboration there. This song is very lively. The synths are very happy. They kind of have a smile on their face from a sonic perspective. An opposite in a way to the first song of Lux. And I just love how these songs kind of complement each other, but they kind of counteract each other in a way. I think this album will be very cohesive, just the way these tunes are put together. Definitely take multiple listens to kind of feel what's going on here. But I'm very excited because I've never listened to much of Holy Fuck before this. And you know what? With a band name like Holy Fuck, you can tell they're not trying to be on the radio or nothing like that. I can't wait for a college radio jock to go on the air. So this is the new song from Holy Yeah, the holy band with the F word that I can't say because of FCC. But I got a podcast, y'all. I can say holy fuck all I want. It's great. Definitely check out Holy Fuck. January 17th, The Leader comes out. Same day, January 17th, Algiers from Atlanta. Their new album, There Is No Year, is coming out. Very, very excited about this project. You know, I will say this band has been overlooked, and I must say, honestly, this band kind of swept under my radar this decade. But this group is so energetic, so boisterous, and they're like a punk band with a whole lot of soul, if that makes any sense. And they will fuck your auditory up. They will just fuck you up completely in the best way possible. And the lead single, Void, is just that. And this song kind of has kind of a gospelness to it. It's almost like a gospel punk album in a way, because it has a call and response. The chorus is very just kind of, it brings you into a feeling like, I got to get out of this place. I need to get out of here. I need to break out. And it has a little anxiety in it, you know. Very excited for this new album from Algiers. There Is No Year, January 17th. And the same day, same release day, The Professionals, two brothers, Madlib and Ono. Very excited for this project because Madlib is great and Ono is just as great as well. The lead single, Superhuman, with Elzai and Chino XL. One of the most cutthroat underground hip-hop albums I've heard so far. That's gonna, you know, crush this year. Chino XL spit a verse that basically says, I never want to be associated with mainstream anything ever again. I want no kind of praise, because he cut the most cutthroat verse I've heard so far this decade. It's about Bill Cosby, but not exactly what you think. It is brutal. Definitely give that single a listen. Superhuman, The Professionals. Looking forward to their album coming out January 17th. And going out to the UK, Shopping. This is their fourth album, and it's coming out February the 7th. And the lead single, Initiative, slightly different from what I usually would expect from Shopping. You know, Shopping, they have this energetic post-punk sound, but this tune has a layer of synths that's kind of buried underneath, that's kind of floating in the background between the verses. And I never heard too much synth from Shopping on past projects, but I'm looking forward to this. I love the change in direction, you know. It's not a total change in direction. Don't get... They're not going to make another, like a Tame Impala album or nothing like that. It's just... I'd never heard too much synth from Shopping. And Initiative is a great tune. You know, if you work in corporate America or just any kind of corporate office environment, this is the song for you. Because, you know, the word initiative is thrown around a lot in corporate spaces. And it can mean a lot of things to different people. You know, why don't you show initiative? Why don't you do this? But, you know, you're working just as hard as you can, but your boss can tell you, oh, why don't you show some initiative, blah, 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 blah. And when you do show initiative, sometimes it's not enough. I think this song conveys that idea so very well. And very looking forward to Shopping. New album, All or Nothing, February 7th. Now, this next group is a band that I've kind of been hard on in the 2010s. The 1975. Was never a huge fan of this group. I thought some of their earlier work was a little bland for my taste. Not necessarily bad music, just not music that I would sink my teeth into. But I'm really loving their more recent stuff. But I would say the song that kind of brought me over the edge, that kind of sold me on them, was Something Else. Someone Else, yes. Because, you know, when this song came out, I think it came out in 2016, that was the year I kind of just kind of ease back on my gripe against pop music, but I didn't have any problem with pop music. I just didn't love a lot of the pop tunes that were coming out. Michael Jackson is one of my favorite artists, and he is called the king of pop. So I do love pop music, but I just didn't love a lot of the artists. I didn't like top 40. I guess my problem was with top 40, not with pop music as a whole. Even though pop music as a, genre is, I don't think pop music is really a genre. I think it's just an idea. I think anything can be pop music. There's a certain structure that people associate with pop music: verse, chorus, verse, etc., whatever. Yeah, that's another podcast for another day. But the 1975, at least with this new project that they're coming out, Notes on a Conditional Form, that is coming out February 21st. The 2 teaser tracks for this project are just remarkable. People and Frail of Mind, because they are so different from each other. Complete opposite. People is a punk song. I love the line on this. I don't like going outside, so bring me everything here. I love it. I run to this song. Frail State of Mind is completely opposite. It's a cool, laid back pop tune. Very sweet, very melodic. And if this is not played on pop radio, I don't know what to say. You're crazy if you're not playing this. The people too, if rock radio is not playing that, you're fools. You're fools. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Can you believe this? 2020, Peter A is looking forward to a 1975 album. Yep, I'm very excited for it. February 21st. Oh, my boys. Tame Impala. They're coming out with a new album February the 14th. And this is very interesting because Kevin Parker has been teasing a new album for a couple of years now. And he's been doing collaboration after collaboration, tour after tour, festival date after festival date. But the last quarter of 2019, Kevin Parker has been starting to show us some work from a new Tame Impala album. And what's interesting, after he dropped some new tunes, they announced a tour, because I think Kevin Parker expected to have an album out, but he kind of wanted to take his time with this project, which is smart. You don't want to rush anything, and who does Kevin Parker have to answer to? You know what I mean? This day and age, I mean, I just hope that this album blows me out of the water. You know what I mean? Because if you're taking very long to put out an album, it better slap. You know what I mean? And I saw Tame Impala on the recent tour that they just went on at Madison Square Garden, and they were incredible. I thought the people responded to the songs that they know very well. From my standpoint, the people didn't respond to the newer songs very well, but I think I have a lot of confidence in the new album. It's called The Slow Rush, February 14th, Valentine's Day. Perfect album to listen to with your significant other, I think. That's very romantic. New Tame Impala music. But I think the best teaser track that Kevin has put out thus far, Posthumous Forgiveness. This tune takes you on a wide journey. It starts off very tender, lots of very understated, very underwhelming, and not in a negative way. And then it kind of breaks into this almost hip-hop-like bounce. And Kevin's vocals are kind of just bouncing up and down, It catches you off guard, and it's remarkable. And I hope to see a lot of dangerous ideas from Kevin Parker on this next album. Just like what he did from Lonerism to Currents. Very dangerous, I thought. To kind of just go almost purely electronic on that album. Excuse me. Very excited for this new album. Yeah, Kevin Parker, Tame Impala. Look out for that Slow Rush. Switching gears a little bit, going on to the hard rock, metal side of things. A band that I've been digging a lot this decade, Lucifer. Their third album, Lucifer 3, is due out in March. No specific release date yet. No new single yet. It could be any day now for a new Lucifer single. When I first heard about this group in 2015, when their first album came out, I was very impressed. I loved it so much. It was so evil, so dark. Joanna's vocals are just remarkable. And I love to see women in hard rock and metal because it's very male dominated. It's great to see a woman's perspective on this style. The second album wasn't so evil. It was very standard hard rock, but it was still good. But it wasn't as wild or strange or weird as the first album. But that's what I need. Hopefully the third album is weird, awkward. Not awkward, just very evil and brooding, but still very inviting and welcoming and not just standard, you know. Yeah, Lucifer 2 was good, but I just need a lot more, you know, not excitement, but just more danger, more wildness and esoteric styles. You know what I mean? That's what I'm looking forward to. You know, and I'm very excited. I'm very interested to see. And I have to see them live. They always come to New York on every tour, and I always miss them for some stupid reason. But I gotta go check them out. Irreversible Entanglements. And this is a jazz group that is really remarkable and very impressive, and they say that through their Instagram that they're coming out with a new full-length album spring 2020, but they haven't put out an album in 3 years now. They're self-titled. It's listed as an EP on Spotify, but it's the length of an album. It's like 43 minutes. You know, most of the songs are 15, 10, 8, 9 minutes on here. It's basically an album. And it's one of the best jazz albums I've ever heard in my life. And my introduction to them was seeing them live, and I was blown away completely. You know, it was poetry come to life through extraordinary jazz instrumentation. Remarkable stuff. And they've released a teaser of sorts, Homeless Global. It's 23 minutes long. It's the length of an EP, one song, and not usually, but I believe that sometimes, I'm very critical of certain jam bands that kind of overstay their welcome to a degree. You know, they're turning a 4-minute song into a 17-minute epic is cool, but overall it's like, wrap it up, boys. You know what I mean? But in this case, with Irreversible Entanglements, it's just a large narrative and a large story that's played out, you know, through lyrically, and it's played out from an instrumentation standpoint. You know, there's a lot of different moving parts to this Homeless Global track, 23 minutes long. It's definitely worth the length. It's gorgeous. It's phenomenal. Yeah, this is a great thing to hold us over until the new album comes out. And man, Irreversible Entanglements is whatever you might think of jazz, or whatever your preconception is of jazz, Irreversible Entanglements fucks that up completely. It does, in the best way possible. Very politically sharp and aware, but it's not shoved down your throat. You feel what More Mother is saying when you're listening to it. You don't know, you might not know exactly what she's talking about, but you kind of feel where she's getting at here. So very excited for Irreversible Entanglements. Their album, Untitled, is due out sometime in spring 2020. Hopefully we get that. And oh boy, very excited about this. Run the Jewels 4. For the last couple of months, I guess the last year or so, Run the Jewels have been teasing Run the Jewels 4. And I love what LP has been doing on Twitter. He's been posting these tweets that are supposedly going to be from Run the Jewels 4 songs. Supposedly. Maybe he's just kidding around, but great way to tease an album. They put out that single from the Venom soundtrack, Let's Go, The Royal We. Remarkable stuff. It's what you expect from Run the Jewels. Just very sharp and cutthroat, dangerous production. it kind of gets your blood boiling in the best way. If you had a rough day and you put that song on, you're gonna feel better. You're at the gym, that's a song to put on. I know I run to that track. Hopefully that's what we're gonna get on Run the Jewels 4. But I totally love what Run the Jewels is doing as far as like taking time to release a project and not just putting stuff out just for the sake of putting it out. And the last time we got something from Run the Jewels was Christmas Day 2016, Run the Jewels 3. You know, I was expecting probably to get the same thing this Christmas or maybe New Year's, but no, they're taking their time. And hey, boys, take all the time you need. Not too long though. But very excited for a new Run the Jewels album this year. We're gonna stay on Long Island for a bit. Medicine Fish. They're gonna put out their third full-length album this year. I know that for a fact because if you follow them on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever, they've announced that they're putting out a new album. They're working on something new. They play shows a lot, locally. And they are incredible live. You know, the one thing that I hope for the new Medicine Fish album is for them to take their sound to another level. You know, I don't want them to be put in a box as a jam band. Yeah, they do covers from Fish and Grateful Dead, and I feel like I've heard some people when they talk about Medicine Fish, like, yeah, they do Grateful Dead songs really well. Yeah, they do Fish songs really well. I don't want to hear that. I want people to pull out Medicine Fish songs, like tell me what you like about this group that they do themselves, not how well they do other people's stuff. I'm very excited for this new album because I've seen them live a bunch of times. They were the first band I ever interviewed. Astronato, John Velsa, the lead singer of the group, my first ever interview for My Little Underground 2 years ago. So I have an investment in this project, not literally, but I'm invested in what Medicine Fish is going to do for this new decade. I want them to start playing shows outside of Long Island. They've played shows in PA, but I want them to, hang out in the boroughs a little bit more. I want more people to know about Medicine Fish, especially in the New York area as well. So definitely looking forward to Medicine Fish when they drop a new problem. Staying in New York City, Answering Machine. This is a band that I love to death. They're the nicest people in the world, too. They put out a couple of EPs throughout the last decade. And they're finally going to put out a brand new album. Full-length album, I should say. And this group, the one thing I will say about Answering Machine is that they're not reinventing the wheel whatsoever. At all. But at the same time, they're not exactly wearing their influence on their sleeves directly. Like, I feel like some punk bands, not all, some, especially underground punk bands that I've heard, locally, they forget about song structure at all, and they just kind of just spaz. You know what I mean? They just kind of make a mess. It's not a cool mess. It's a mess. Answering Machine, they take time to construct very beautiful punk tunes with a pop twist. Especially in their lead single for this new album, Bad Luck, is just that. They have an idea of how to make a great song. I guess they know they're not trying to, make anything experimental or change, you know what I mean? They're doing what they do very, very well. And the lead single, Bad Luck, is an amazing tune. I love it. It's very catchy. It's gorgeous. It has a lot of life to it. And I'm very excited to see what their new album is going to sound like. So definitely be on the lookout for that. What else is there? I guess those are all the albums that I'm anticipating for 2020 so far. But I think that some of the best albums that come out to me every year are the ones I don't expect, that I don't anticipate. Because there's been a few albums that came out in 2019 that I was anticipating that I didn't love so much at all, actually. So the best albums that are going to come out are the ones that are going to hit you by surprise. For the most part, like Run the Jewels, for example. Again, they dropped Run the Jewels 3 years ago out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. And it's one of the most successful projects to this date. Legend has it, I think, just went gold. See? Now, there's a few things that that I hope for the music of 2020. You know, starting with albums. Albums do matter still. Yes, they do. Because you can drop a single, but if you tour, which a lot of artists make their money off of touring now, you can't tour off of one song. You need a lot of songs to play. You know what I mean? People don't necessarily pay for albums anymore, but they pay to see concert tickets. They pay to see people live. So you need a body of work. You do. And, you know, in regards to albums, I think that artists should definitely put out like a cohesive project that's not overblown. Like, we don't need a double album. We don't need double albums. We don't. You know, Vampire Weekend is a great group, but they did not need to put out a double album. Why? Why? To you know, come on. Like, Drake, his last album, Scorpion, was a double album. Why? Why? No, come on. I mean, most people consider Drake's best album to be Take Care, and I would agree with that. You know, it was a tight 15-track album, you know, not including the bonus tracks. You know, a lot of replayable songs on there. And I'm not even the biggest Drake fan. Just a tight, cohesive project. That's all I ask for. It's not that people don't want to listen to albums anymore. They don't want to hear a 22 epic anymore, unless you're Madlib and you're making another Madvillain album or another Quasimodo song album. And most of those projects are like, all the tracks are like a minute, 2 minutes at max. And they're very, very creative tunes. And they kind of float together like a little narrative. If you're not doing that, I don't think albums should be longer than 45 minutes, in my opinion. They should no longer than 10, 12 tracks. Some of the best albums of all time, right? Thriller. 9 songs, I believe. Led Zeppelin 4. 8 songs. I believe Sabbath 4 is like 10 tracks. One of my favorite hip-hop albums ever. Jizz's Liquid Swords. 12 songs. Come on, man. The tighter, the more concise your album is, the more replay value it's going to have. You know, the more lasting power it's going to have, and the album's going to probably age well. The more, at least for me, the more likely I'm going to see somebody live if they put out a tight, concise album, because if you're playing the hits or a hit, there's a whole other, you still have like an hour in your set, 45 minutes in your set. You need other songs. You do. Other great ones. So yeah, no more double albums in the 2020s. And we have to be careful about what genres, lack thereof, or whatever, are quote unquote dead. You know? Like, we can't say rock is not dead. Yes, rock bands are not the most popular thing right now. They're not. If you play guitar, you're not the number one on all the charts. You're not. It doesn't matter. And the people who say XY genre is dead are fucking ignoramuses. They just want to be programmed something. You know? They're living in the MTV generation. You know, back in the 80s and 90s, you know, the music, how people discovered music, the general public discovered music was through radio or music videos. Today, no sir. No ma'am. We have the whole wide web. The entire internet. That's one aspect of discovering music. Or talking to people. Ask somebody what they listen to. What have you been listening to? More likely, it's going to be someone that you haven't heard of. And this is all genres, not just rock music. You know, like EDM is not as popular as it once was. Does that mean electronic music as a whole is dead? No, it doesn't. Flume is still out here. Sophie. K Tronada. They make some of the best electronic music I've heard. If you put them in that box, you know, there's no, even like disco. There's still a lot of disco in a lot of music. Disco is one of the first, get this, forms of electronic dance music. Yeah. Doesn't mean that people are, you know, calling clubs discos or whatever. There's no, you know what I mean? But that kind of music is embedded, you know, in popular music still. Like jazz. There's a whole lot of Kamasi Washington. Irreversible Entanglements. Norija, Reservoir. A lot of great jazz acts. There's no, just because something is not the most popular doesn't mean it's dead. You know, I love a lot of underground music. You know, a lot of this podcast is about underground music. There's a whole world out there that's outside of the top 40. You know, again, if you want to discover new music, that's another thing. This decade, we need to be clear on the new ways of discovering music. People, if you want to discover new music, guess what? Like I said before, talk to somebody. Ask another fellow music head, what are they listening to? What are you listening to? Go to a concert, stay for the opening act. Yeah. That's a risk because sometimes the opening acts suck. But you know what? Sometimes the headliners suck. I've been to shows where the opening acts were the best acts. Read the music blogs. Yes, read Pitchfork, read Stereogum, read Consequence of Sound. I read those sites every goddamn day. That's how I discover music. That's one of the ways I discover new music. It's through sites like that. New Music Express. And open your mind too. If you're just listening to hip hop, if you're just listening to jazz, if you're just listening to indie rock, if you're just listening to pop or boy bands, BTS, expand your horizon a little bit. That's how you discover new music. If you're just listening to Drake and BTS and Jonas Brothers and you're telling me that today's music is blah, 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 you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an ignoramus. You need to expand your horizon. You have no right to comment on new music of today if you have no idea of what's out there. If all you know is what Spotify puts on your daily mix playlist. You know what I mean? If somebody tells you they went to go see this show by this band and you didn't know who they were, ask them about the band. Ask them about the group. Ask them about the artist. Talk. Just talk to people. That's how you can discover new music. I have friends that text me all the time new songs to listen to. Not all the time, but some. That's how we discover new music now. We have to talk to each other. You know, the people, us, the listeners, we're like at the helm of how music is shared and discovered. You know, like Lil Nas X got big on TikTok, a social media site. He just shared, he didn't go to a radio. I'm sure he didn't go to any like PD at a radio station. Here, play Old Town Road. No. This decade, we have to understand that we have to be careful about, absolutes. Like, this is dead. There's no this anymore. Oh, man, I can't tell you how many tweets I saw about, rappers ain't rapping anymore. Everyone's mumbling, blah, 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 mumble rap, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, really? Really? Guys, come on now. If you're really a fan of hip-hop, you know that there are rappers out there rapping, and not all of them are really popular, like Rhapsody. like a Vince Staples, like even a Schoolboy Q. These are popular artists. They're not Drake, but these are popular acts that sell out shows, and they're rappers. Yeah, okay, you have artists like a Gunna or a Young Thug who are not necessarily rapping. You know, it's very melodic and sing-songy, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great. They're in their own lane by themselves. But don't group that stuff with the whole landscape of hip-hop. It's not. It doesn't represent hip-hop. It's part of hip-hop, I think. Young Thug and Gunna are part of hip-hop. But they don't represent all of hip-hop at all. Then it's not the whole thing. If you want rappers that just rap, there's Kendrick, and then there's, again, Schoolboy Q, there's Rhapsody, there's Jean Grey, there's Quelly Chris, there's Homeboy Sandman, there's Samus, there's Miss Eves, there's No Name. There are so many rappers out here rapping. If that's what you want, it's there. If you want to hear crooners, they're there too. Travis Scott, Young Thug, Gunna, they're all here, Lil Baby. There's something for everybody. Hip-hop is so expansive, and music is so, you know, it's not just, yeah, whatever the radio is playing is what the radio is going to play, but it doesn't represent music as a whole. We have to understand that we can't let programming program us. You know, there's another thing. If you're listening to the radio, hey, you know, a lot of people say radio is dead, radio is blah, 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 but a lot of y'all care about what radio is playing. Because yeah, a lot of complaints I hear about music is like, the radio just plays blah, 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 this mumble rap. I'm like, open your eyes. There's 1,000,000,001 ways to discover music these days. There's too much music out there. It's not that there's not enough, there's too much, there's a lot. Hopefully this decade we do better. As far as like our perspective on what music is. Who cares what the most popular thing is now? Who gives a shit? I certainly don't care. Every year, I tell this to everybody. Every year, I come up with 30 albums and I share on social media. My favorite 30, top 30. I have to trim down from like 50. I'm in front of a lot of music. I'm not in the music industry. But I put myself in front of music, in front of new music all the time. I hope you guys do the same, fellow music fans. I don't want to hear people with big record collections telling me that new music is blah, blah, blah. Fuck off. Fuck off. All right, with that, we're going to wrap up level 43 of My Little Underground. I'm Peter A. Subscribe anywhere you get podcasts. Follow me, social media, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. It's Peter_A. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well as at MLU Pod. Everything happening with My Little Underground, just follow that. And happy 2020. Happy music listening in 2020. Roaring 20s, as they say, the new one. I can't wait to hear what music is going to come out this decade. Hopefully I see you guys at some concerts. All right, let's discover music together. Later days.